I think that we can all agree that One Piece is an incredible anime. Yes, it has terrible pacing, but over the years the series has given us a lot of amazing moments. In this video today, I will be highlighting a few of the best showcases of power that has taken place in the story. One Piece has over 1050 episodes, so there are a lot to choose from. So if this video gets like 10 likes, I'll definitely make another one, but now we will just be focusing on 10 of the best showcases of power in One Piece. For a very long while, the Strides really didn't have much issue traveling the Grand Line. They of course had monstrous run-ins like example Enel/Eneru, but even with him and his incredible OP Devil Fruit ability, they still stood a chance of defeating him, and they did. Their first ultimate defeat came at the hands of Admiral Aokiji. At this point in time, the admirals were relatively unknown, and on their way to Water 7 they came in contact with one of the strongest characters in the series. And this was almost like a wake-up call to the Destroyers, as Aokiji defeated the monster trio with relative ease. If Aokiji had come there for blood, the adventure of the Straw Hat Pirates could have easily ended there, because even with a full-on assault, they stood no chance against the Navy HQ Admiral. Next up we have Mihawk vs Zorro. This was the first big showcase of power in the story, and it is also easily one of the most iconic moments in One Piece. I still didn't get how Zorro thought he would stand a chance against someone who was titled the strongest swordsman in the world and someone who just cut up a galleon ship like it was nothing. Just to show us the gap of power between the two, Hawkeye fought and defeated Zorro with only a small pocket knife. He only took out his real weapon to seal the deal. Hawkeye really made Zorro look like a small child in this fight, and instantly made me a fan of him. Also made me think, how long would Zorro have to train to even touch Mihawk, because this man was in a different league. This was Zorro's most one-sided fight. Next up we have Ace vs Blackbeard. This isn't one of the best fights in the story, but it is one of the most impactful moments. Without this, there would most likely not have been a war at Marineford. Without this, Luffy might have been the one that Blackbeard took in, and it could have been the end of the adventure for the Straw Hat Captain. This was one of the few times that we have seen Blackbeard in action. This was just a way to showcase how Blackbeard is a real threat. The final attack in this fight is one of the best classes of Devil Fruit power I have seen in One Piece. It is of course a very common type of scene in anime, but it was very impressive in this capacity. With Ace on one side giving his ultimate attack and Blackbeard on the other giving his ultimate attack. The clash of these two attacks was so powerful that it shook the entire island. Blackbeard coming out the victor and truly showing the audience how dangerous he really is. Coming from the time skip, we were all curious to see the progress of the Strides, and here Luffy showed us just how much he stepped up his game. Before the time skip, Luffy wasn't able to control this power. It normally came in moments of rage, but after 2 years of training, the Straw Hat Captain gained a new level of mastery over this ability. With the crew heavily outmanned on Fisherman Island, Luffy used his Conqueror's Haki and knocked out 50,000 fishmen in one move. Definitely one of Luffy's coolest moments. I feel that this is somewhat an underappreciated Zorro moment. I rarely hear people bring it up, but I always have to because it is one of his most impressive feats. This year was when the crew was still fresh from the time skip, and we were all wondering how much they have progressed in the 2 years they took off on the adventure to grow stronger. Zorro gave us just a little taste of his power. It is no secret that fishmen are on average stronger than the regular human, but when they are underwater, they have the ultimate advantage. They are instantly stronger, and the ultimate thing is they can breathe underwater. Zorro took down Hody Jones in a single move, and considering this was the final boss of this arc, it was extra impressive. I could have chosen 2 other similar classes to this one with more over-the-top animation, but I'll just go with the first one that really shocked me. This was the first time we ever experienced power of this magnitude in the anime. This is also the first time we ever saw 2 Yonko on screen at the same time. Before I even get to the class, let's just talk about Shanks showcasing his immense amount of haki as he comes onto Whitebeard's ship, and his presence starts knocking out Whitebeard pirates as he boards the ship. His haki even physically damaged the Moby Dick just by him walking up to Whitebeard. And then of course there comes the clash. Whitebeard and Shanks' clash weapons, and just the connection of power was enough to split the sky. This is something I didn't even know could happen, and it will be something that will live rent-free in my mind forever. And this was just a display of power, not even an all-out fight. Throughout the entire series, Luffy has been defeated multiple times. It is a pattern with Luffy. He normally comes short in the first few encounters with the boss, but then he comes back and takes them down. But this was entirely different, as this is the first time we have ever seen Luffy get one-shotted. He has had moments where he was defeated fairly quickly, like the Aokiji situation for example, but he has never been defeated by an enemy in this manner. This is one of the greatest showcases of pure dominance in this anime. This was basically showing us that a Yonko is a different breed of power. The thing that makes this extra impactful was the fact that Luffy was in Gear 4th Bounce Man mode, which at the time was his strongest offensive form, and Kaido ate all of his punches and took him out with one swing of his club, and he was in base form. Coming in next is easily one of the most satisfying moments in all of anime, and also one of the most impressive feats in One Piece. Ace is ultimately killed by Akainu trying to save Luffy, and this sent Whitebeard into a rage. What makes this so impressive is the fact that Whitebeard was already sickly when he fought Sakazuki, but during the fight, the Admiral also burned his insides, and this would have killed any normal character, but Whitebeard stood back up and delivered a shockwave punch to the Marine that shook the entire island of Marineford. The second Admiral that was introduced to us was Kizaru, and in my opinion it was the best introduction out of all the Admirals. In this point in time on the island of Sabaody, most of the worst generation pirates were here, with guys such as Luffy, Law, Kid, Hawkins, X-Drake, Scratchman and Uruz, and Kizaru basically defeated all of them without breaking a sweat. He was basically just displaying a fraction of his power and made all the pirates with bounties over 100 million look weak, and he did it so effortless. I wonder what would have happened if he was serious. The only reason that the Straw Hat Pirates made it off this island was because of Rayleigh and Kuma. This was also the biggest defeat for the Destroyers, as nothing they could do was enough to take down the Pacifistas, Sentomaru and Admiral Kizaru. This defeat was the biggest eye-opener for the crew and one of the main reasons for the 2-year time skip. I don't think you can talk about showcases of power in One Piece without talking about what Aokiji and Akainu did on Punk Hazard. This is one of the biggest off-screen fights in the story, and one of the fights that we as fans wish we could see someday in a flashback of some sorts. Nothing says OP more than permanently changing the weather and climate of an entire island. Aokiji and Akainu reportedly fought for 10 days, and with this, they most likely used their Devil Fruit abilities to the extent as they basically destroyed an entire island. One side of the island looks like a winter island the way Aokiji's Devil Fruit affected it, and the other side of the island is an inferno wasteland affected by the powers of Akainu. I think this was also just to showcase how powerful the Navy HQ Admirals really are if they are given the room to fully go out. I really wish Oda blesses us with a flashback of this fight one day, because I do not want to die without seeing this crazy fight.